Hi, my friend. It is Block Wednesday, and for Block Wednesday, this sweet for sweet dreams is pie, everything pie. Pie as in apple, cherry, blueberry, banana cream, all those wonderful, yummy pies. But for me, when I have pie, it's really all about the crust. That's why I eat pie, is to eat the crust. So it has to have a crust on top. And of course, cherry pie is my favorite. Red, everything red. So our block is, ta-da! And this is, I did a simple layout just to show you if you were going to do it in repeat, what you would have. Now I am still doing one from the Crumbs blocks that I made in 2021, and then from the Moonstone over here. So let me first show you the Crumb Block, because that is colored very much like, like the pattern is. The crumb part is in these sort of corner units. That's where I've done all of the crumb piecing. Now, I decided that for the Moonstone ones, let me just scroll you in over there, they need to have a little bit lighter background. So alternate the background. So here, there is the Moonstone. So I did that with a light background, the crumbs with a dark background, just like the pattern. And I'm going to show you how I think through that, what my thoughts are about switching lights and darks within a block, because you do have to be a little bit on your A game when you're doing that, because otherwise your brain can kind of, you know, you're looking at the picture and the brain is putting dark where the dark is. And if you are reversing that, it can get a little tricky. So I have some tips for you. Here we go. For the pattern colors this week, I'm still doing the scrappy ones. I am going to do all 9 in the center. Then I'm going to decide whether I want to do the whole quilt. 2 versions of the quilt. I don't know. But anyway, I want to show you the 2 and how I think through flipping colors, because I think that many of us do this, that you look at the pattern and you're like, okay, this is going to be, I'm going to use lights in a different place than the pattern shows lights. So I want to show you how I think through that for this block, because it's a perfect block for it. It's very straightforward once you sort of break down the components. And then I want to tell you about the layout a little bit, where we're going with that. Okay, let's stick that over there. All right, so the block, our pie, everything pie. I want to do the Moonstone with a light background, because I need 4 of them with a light background. I was going to do 5, but it's going to work out better to have 4. That way I have balance in the middle. And then which you saw, and then the scrappy one with the crumb blocks is dark background, just like this. So first let's look at that one. Okay. So I'm just on top of my box for the scraps. So these are the scrap blocks that I'm cutting up and have been cutting up, and there's a lot of dark, and that's what created sort of the mushy blocks. You know, they sort of blend into each other because I was using dark as a sort of background, and with so much other dark. So I decided that there are a couple spaces here which I can grab out a light, which I'm going to use, at least on that one piece I can. But I needed another crumb block, so I went ahead and grabbed this one that is all lights. So then I can do what I'm got in my head, see how it goes. So I'm going to use, for the dark, I'm going to use this piece here, and that will be this dark. So I'm going to focus on how I will audition right up here, you know, like this top part. So here's the dark. Now for this light, I am going to use this peachy fabric, which I used in one of the other blocks. And so I'll audition it by doing this, because it will be both the center. Well, I could do it as I show the center. You could make it longer if you wanted and show like that. Get this one out of the way. So then I will have the flying geese unit, and that will be like this. So there, if you want to, you know, like audition it by pin it, I sort of do, there we go, that's what I do. I sort of take a square and fold it in half and then make it the point. Okay, So under here would be the flying geese, and then this would be, the rest would be the square, and it'd be on the background. And then up here, these will all be from the crumb block. So I will have out here a square from the crumb block, and then these half square triangles will all be from the crumb blocks. And I'll probably have to, I may have to get another crumb block, we'll see, because that's going to use up quite a bit. So this is how I audition to match it just like the pattern. So dark background, this is also dark, but I decided to use a different color, not the same fabric. You could use the same fabric, but I decided not to. I'm going to use this. And then the sort of light is this peach. Okay, so we did this one. Now if I want to reverse that whole thought so that this is light, the flying geese is light, where it's white here is dark, and the medium still stays medium. So you don't have to think about the medium. So you're basically thinking light and dark, and you're just flipping them. Medium stays medium. So there's really no change there. So what I want is a light background. So I'm going to pick the background fabric. And then for the flying geese, I want a dark for the sides. And then I'm going to pick a different fabric, not the white, for this part. So here is my dark, which will also be the middle. So the dark will also be the middle, and then here is the unit for the flying geese. So there you go. So I've reversed it. This is dark, this is light, and then my medium will stay medium. So I am going to use the pink, and that will be in the four corners. So I've got that, and that's the fabrics that I'll use for this version, which will be a flipped out version of it. So it'll be just the opposite colorway. I put both of these on the design board and pinned them to do the mock-up so I can verify and validate what I'm thinking is actually going to work. So let's take a look like this. It's a little easier. So I have, this is the version that is dark, and it's with the crumb blocks. So there are, you know, dark portions here, dark portions here, and then I did the center with the two peaches, two corals. So this is a mock-up. I didn't do all four corners, but you can get an idea of where it's going, and using these light scraps really works. You know, I don't want any dark stuff that was going to blend into the black like the other blocks did. Okay, so what happens when I reverse the colorways? Here we go. Now I've got light where the dark is. So light where the dark is. My medium is still pink, and then the center is just reversed. So I've got dark in the middle and dark for the background here, and the geese, which I'll call this part here, is dark. It's light rather, because it has to be opposite. So it's lighter than this charcoal color. So a couple other things here before we talk about a few other project stuff. This is how much I used of the crumb block. So it was out to about here. That's great. So now I have a bit more of this for another block, and I'm keeping everything tidy. And that's what I wanted to show you about the moonstone stuff, because instead of just sort of scrunching it up and sort of tossing it back in the bag so that every week I've got kind of a mess to look through, I'm actually keeping it really, really tidy so that I have still got everything by color and folded up nicely. So these are the pieces I just worked with. I will put them back in where they're supposed to be. I might have to take this whole thing out, you know, so that it can go in here nicely. But this really saves my sanity. So each week when I come, everything is very, very tidy. Now I do want to show you the border and talk about where we're going with all of this, these inner borders, these mystery pieces. When we do all 9 blocks, then the next part, which would be week 10, we will be doing sort of this part here all the way around, and then week 11 we will be doing the next part all the way around, and then we'll start back like on single blocks again, and that will be you know, there's actually 2 blocks at a time from this point outward. So each week you'll make 2 blocks instead of 1. And we'll talk about color placement and variety and things like that. These inner sashings that are sort of this light color, I am using from my Moonstone collection this fabric. So when we get to week 10, I will cut all of this up so that I know I don't use it by accident. I won't want to do that. So I will cut everything up and probably you know, just put it in a bag and mark it, so then that way I know I'm good. I'm not going to accidentally use it, and then that gives me the freedom to use that fabric in blocks, which is really good because I want to have that. I want to know what I have going on. So this is a little sort of look at everything and how we're progressing and where we're going with the mystery. Let me show them to you again. Here's the Moonstone, which we just did the light background, and then the Crumb Blocks with the dark background like the pattern. So I'm going to put them up here on the wall. Here we are. Here's the dark one, and then the Moonstone over here, so that I am going for 4 lights, which will sort of balance out that 9 patch. Now over here on the Crumb Blocks, you know, to be honest, I had to get my brain back into cutting up crumbs and putting them into traditional blocks when I first started these, because I just haven't done that in a long time. And this one here is really messy. There was not enough contrast. What I'd hoped would happen didn't happen. And so I am going to redo this one. Maybe today. Maybe I'll redo it today so that it is not so messy and you can actually see the definition. I will not undo that one. I will make a new one, and that one will maybe just go in with the other Crumb Blocks or go in the bin up here of blocks that are, you know, sort of extra blocks that I have. Whatever, it'll go somewhere else. Okay, a couple other things. I got in the Reader's Digest. Remember I talked about 100 years of Reader's Digest the other day. It was its anniversary and I had not had one in a long time. So I went ahead and ordered the 100-year anniversary copy. So this has been so fun. I have great memories of reading this at my grandparents' house. And a couple people asked about the size of it. Some of you remember them being full magazine size. This is what I remember is called, it's a digest. And when digest is sort of a publishing term for this size of a publication. So it is small and kind of fun, you know, little short stories, not a whole lot to read, but I've already just laughed like crazy at the jokes, you know, so that's a good thing. Another thing I did was get the first block cut out from the kit, Words to Live By, from this pattern. So I have this quadrant cut out, and I did decide to leave the sun block where it is and cut it to size. And that's this guy up here. You know, I was sort of thinking out loud about it in the other video. And when I do that, it's as if you were, you know, sitting here with me and I was sort of, you know, debating with myself in my head, but I say it out loud. So, you know, it's not a big deal. Like somebody recommended, you know, maybe I should redraft the pattern. A lot of you recommended putting the sun in the middle, which was also a nice idea. It was pretty much the same size though. I mean, it wasn't going to change the size any. I would have had to redraft it. And honestly, I loved the block around the sun, so I just did it. I just cut it, and once you do it, then it's like, okay, it's done. This is one of probably 120 quilts I will make this year, and so, you know, I can't, you know, spend a lot of time on it. It's just like, but thinking about it out loud is just part of what we do as makers. We have to mull over the choices, and I kind of do it out loud here for you in the video as if you were hanging out with me in the studio. So I'm excited I can get this one done, and they're going to go quick. Once I get them cut, they will go quick. Let's see, I also have, oh, before I forget, I have Kimberly's blocks from the Sweet Dreams. Here are hers. She's doing a really tight color palette, so that is very cool. What she's done is, I think, just 5 fabrics that she's using, and so that's a different kind of challenge you can give yourself when you're doing a sampler, so that you only have so many fabrics to work with. They always look amazing in the end when you do that, because you have fabrics that look good together, and it always will be really beautiful. So I love her blocks. Okay, reminder that you can pre-order my tantalizing table topper book. I'm going to show you one more project in here. Here is one of the table toppers. This this is so fun to make. This is fun to make, and it's real scrappy, so you could use up a lot of fabrics. So that's always a good thing. All right, I want to take these blocks off of here real quick and show you the crumb blocks with the purple, because I have them all made and I just want to get them up on the wall so that I can start sewing them. I have a lot of things I want to sew. I want to sew like all the time. I'm just like you. Whoops. Okay, so I have this layout that will sort of radiate from the middle, and I will go and really look at the crumb blocks a little bit and try to figure out the patterns, because some of them have directional pieces in them, and I will work on making those go the right direction. You know, I'm not doing that right now. I'll switch them. I find it's easier just to go and put everything up, and then that way you don't you're not sort of fussing around with it as you're placing it up here. Once they're placed, they're much easier to, you know, switch them and change them and decide what you want than trying to do that as you put them up. So here is the first grouping, because what I will have is this band, and then I will have another one like that. And then I believe it's what, like one across the, you know, to get it a rectangle, then you'll have a shorter one. You won't have it spanning all the way back out again. So, you know, these will be down here like this. There's lots of this bunny fabric. I think I did a table mat. Like, see the bunnies? Like the bunnies or some little carrots with little eyeballs. Yeah, so here's one. You can see a little carrot with a little face. So I keep looking at these thinking, oh, there's a lot of those. All right, so this is what I'm going to do. It's going to get this up here, and then that way I have it to sew the rows and get those organized and together, because that is the fun part, to get it all sewn up. When you share your blocks today for Sweet Dreams Pie, tell me what is your favorite pie, and if you have a recipe or a link to it, that's cool, but make your pattern. And I hope I know some of you are actually baking and cooking along as we're doing these, so I can't wait to see if you actually make pie this week. I should get a cherry pie, except that I would have to eat it all because Mr. Greg doesn't like cherry pie. So maybe I can find a little mini one over there. You know, sometimes they have the mini ones, but it's all about the crust though. So, you know, they have to be a good crust. Okay, my friend. Look, I think it looks good. Yeah? All right, I love you. Mwah. Thank you for being here in the Sloan Zone. I will see you online.